Hi friends, welcome back to Three Barrow Farm and welcome back into my kitchen. So tomato season is pretty slow for us here on our farm after that heavy frost that took out a lot of my tomato plants, and I'm still waiting for big tomatoes to be ready to pick. But there are a heap of green ones on the plants. However, we have run out of our bottled tomatoes, so I kind of want to get some more made up. And we are lucky enough here in the country to have lots of people growing food, and there are a few fruit and veg shops that have big boxes of bulk sauce tomatoes and jam fruit. So today I purchased a massive box of Roma tomatoes, and I've just been chopping them all up and making some things to put away in our pantry so that we have some stuff on hand. And then when our tomatoes start coming in, we can then start the process again. But I just wanted to get these jars filled up again because it is cheaper this way. If you get them in bulk and you grow them yourself as well, it's much cheaper than buying them in the cans. And you can also make some pasta sauces, which I'm also doing as well. I currently have 2 trays in the oven cooking tomato, capsicum, garlic and onion together with some tomato paste, sugar, olive oil, salt and pepper, all mixed in with those vegetables. So after they've all been mixed in, I will whiz them up and I will fill them into jars as well. Oh, and there is the timer for the oven. So I'm going to grab this sauce out and I'll show you. Okay, here it is. We've got 2 trays all cooked up. And so it's ready to whiz up. I forgot to mention that I've also put rosemary in this as well. So I have got this recipe out of this book here. There are so many wonderful recipes in here, and I've had this book for a very long time. I used to make this pasta sauce when my kids were really young, and now my kids are, well, they're teenagers. And there are so many things in here, but you can basically do any sort of oven cooked sauce that you like. So you could put a combination of whatever vegetables you have growing in your garden. You could put zucchini in it as well, because I know we've all got lots of zucchinis at the moment. So normally I would be putting red capsicum into this dish, but because my parents have grown these wonderful green capsicums, I'm putting these in instead. So another thing I'm doing this evening is I'm filling up my Thermomix. You can fill up a blender, any blender that you have, or food processor. I'm just filling up my Thermomix with fresh tomatoes, just cut into 4, and then I'm whizzing them up and I'm putting them in these jars. So I'm about to fill my water bathing unit with these jars and I'm going to process them. So I'm just going to quickly sterilize these jars and get them filled with tomatoes, and then I'll be right back. Okay, so I've got some jars filled up here. I'm just waiting for some other jars to cool down after I put them in the oven to sterilize them. So I'm just waiting for those, and while I am, I just thought I'd show you this book. This is what comes with your Fowlers Vacola water bathing unit. So it's called Secrets of Preserving. And I follow their citric acid or lemon juice rule to pop some in. So the ratio for these ones, these are number 20 jars. So I need to add 2 teaspoons of lemon juice or a 1/4 teaspoon of citric acid. So I'm adding the citric acid into these jars. So I'm just doing a 1/4 teaspoon of citric acid into each one, and basically you can do the tomatoes whichever way you wish to. You can chop them, you can puree them, you can pulp them, you can do them however you want. You can just do them like 1/4 or halved and just chuck them into the jar and add the citric acid. And then you're going to want to put them in your water bathing unit. So this here is my water bathing unit. I've already added some water into it, but I'll need to maybe add some more water after I've added the jars. And this one requires me to have it on for an hour. So you start with cold water, you add all of your jars into it, and you need to have the water over the top of the jars. And then you switch it on, put a timer on for an hour, and once it reaches that hour, you turn it off and you take the jars out immediately. So I am planning on doing a video on how to use your water bathing unit, or the one that I have anyway, and I will talk about other more recent water bathing units that the Fowler company have come out with. Of course, this one I got secondhand, so I'm just using what I have on hand. I don't want to put all the outlay of money into getting a new one. I'm just going to use what I have. So I'm currently boiling up the lids that are going on these, and I'm going to pop the lids on, and then I'm going to pop the clips over the lids. So let's get on with that. Okay, I've been boiling these lids away for a while now. So I'm just going to pop them out onto a clean tea towel. And basically you just want to sterilize everything, and that will mean that you'll get a good result. You won't get any mold growing inside your jars. You just want to make sure everything is well and truly safe for storing. So I'm going to add 1/4 teaspoon of citric acid into this jar, because I haven't done this jar yet. So there we go, I'm just popping it on top. And then one thing I didn't mention was that I wipe the rims. So you just want to make sure that the rims are all clean. And also you want to have a gap at the top. So if there's more liquid that comes from these, and just so there's room for the air bubbles to escape, but you want to have a lip, and the instructions generally show you what size lip you need. I've probably got a bigger size than I need in these jars, but I sort of go by this because this size jar and this amount of tomatoes is what we need for most recipes. Sometimes we add 2 in, but I don't want to add more into these jars if I can save the contents for another meal. So I'm just going to add the lid on top. These lids were my husband's grandfather's, so he used to do lots and lots of fruit in his Fowler Vacola jars. And he had a metal water bathing unit which rusted out majorly. So this jar, he wrote on it January 88, and he would have canned apricots. Apricots and nectarines were the things that he canned a lot of, because he had lots of fruit trees. So again, I'm just popping the lid on and clipping the clip over the lips here, so you can see there's a bit of a lip on the jar, and they just sit like that. But yeah, as I said, I'll go through the ins and outs one day when I have more time to record a video on how to use all of this equipment, because if you can get your hands on a secondhand water bathing unit, and even secondhand jars, because all of my jars have come from other people, and I have a collection of over 100 jars now, like maybe close to 200, and I've got them in all different sizes, and they're all secondhand. The lids, I have got some lids, obviously, some of my husband's grandfather's old lids. They're stainless steel, so they keep going and going. These clips are not stainless steel, so these clips do corrode a bit, particularly with tomato based product that you're bottling. So they will corrode a bit, but you're not going to leave these on. You're going to take these off after 24 hours of taking these out of the water bathing unit. So yeah, these are stainless steel and they just keep going, like you just wash them. The rings, however, these are the rings. You're supposed to use a new ring with every jar that you can. So you can't reuse the rings. Well, you're not supposed to. I have reused some of them, but not all of them seal. So I want these to seal really well. So I'm going to be using all the new rings around these jars. Okay, so here are all the jars in the water bathing unit, and I've added water, and the water is over the top of the jars. I've managed to fit 9 in the unit, which is great. I normally get 8 in there, and they are touching, so when it comes to boil, I have to make sure that it doesn't, they're not clinking together for longer than 5 minutes. So we don't want them to clink together, but there's a little bit of space in between them. And we just want to make sure that we fill it enough that the jars don't end up, going on their sides while it's boiling up. So because I've managed to fit 9 jars into the water bathing unit, I'm going to go ahead and fill another 8 or 9 jars. And I have to whiz up the pasta sauce that I've made, that I've had in the oven. So that will also go into jars. I also got some bulk plums from the fruit and veg shop, and I'm planning to can some of these. So I will probably just cut them in halves and then fill them. I think you can do either a syrup or you can just preserve fruit in a bit of water. So I'm not sure what I'm going to do with these yet. I think that is another video to come, and I'm definitely not going to be doing them today because, as I said, the water bathing unit takes 1 hour and it is now going into the evening, so I have to get these done. So let's have a little chat while we fill up some more of these jars with the tomatoes. The weather has been odd of late. It's been so windy, and I'm not really used to it being as windy in summer. Usually it's quite still, and we've had this pattern of there being at least 4 days of heat and then 3 days of cool within the week, and so it always ends up getting really hot on the weekend. So this weekend it's getting back up to the 30s, and then Monday and Tuesday will be 37 degrees. And this is sort of the pattern, and then it cools off on Wednesday, Thursday and Friday, and then it heats up again. So this pattern has been happening, and I've been noticing it because when you are gardening, you notice the weather a lot. So I got these tomatoes in this polystyrene box, and we can take it back to the shop for them to reuse, so that's good. So with the weather being windy on the colder days, I found it really hard to do some videoing outside. And I'm desperate to film the video of the fertilizer that I was making, which I'm hoping I'll be able to do tomorrow morning or tomorrow evening. It's quite windy out there right now, and I could find an area in the garden that isn't so windy, but it just hasn't been very inviting to be outside trying to speak over the wind and not really sure whether it's filming well. And the garden, oh my gosh, the garden has been growing enormously. Like every plant is putting on a couple of inches every day, it feels like. And the tomatoes are getting bigger on the plants, as I said. I'm still waiting for some red tomatoes on the big ones. We've been picking some cherry tomatoes though, but they're also quite behind. And I feel like when we get this cold snap that we get once a week, it definitely sets back some of the fruit. But at the same time, the plants are still growing rapidly. So I'm hoping to get out into the garden and do a little bit of filming. And of course, the start of next month is almost upon us, and I will be doing a tour of the garden as well. And you will see how much it has changed from the last tour. It's just amazing how much it has changed. And even those seeds that I have planted this month, The plants are incredibly large for, what they were when I planted those same things in spring. Like, they're just growing so rapidly, which is amazing to see. I don't generally plant seeds in January that I put, directly into the garden. So yeah, it's interesting to watch them grow. All right, I'm cutting into my last tomato and I'm going to finish this all off now. So I'm gonna let you go and I will show you what I have in the end. I'm hoping that we have quite a few tomatoes here that we can eat from while we're waiting for our tomatoes to finally be ready to preserve and to eat fresh. I can't wait. There's nothing like a homegrown tomato. So thank you, friends, for watching and joining me in my kitchen. I look forward to sharing more of my preserving over the next few months. I will be in here a lot, I can tell you that. Take care and I'll see you soon. One more thing before I leave. This water is perfect for washing your dishes with. So I'm going to wash my dishes with this water and then refill it and do another batch.